I was born in Alabama. We lived in Omaha, Kansas City, Salt Lake City. You know, we had 5 children. You know, I have 4 sisters, and so I was the only boy, and of course my father's favorite, being the only boy. So I enrolled in the University of Utah in 1968, graduated in 1972 with an undergraduate degree in finance, continued on for another year and got my MBA in 1973. I have great admiration, respect, and fond memories of my time at the U. You know, I love the business school there and believe that they gave me a tremendous foundation, you know, from which to build a career on. I was at San Francisco 10 or 11 years and progressed through a series of positions, eventually ended up running an office products business. I was over my head, would have been the first to admit it. I ran the office products business and eventually got recruited to move to Chicago. I went from running a business of about $250 million to be in charge of marketing and planning for ACCO.
ACCO is the branded office products manufacturing leader. They own the Swingline brand, Swingline staplers, and Quartet whiteboards, and Wilson Jones.
In 1986, ACCO was bought by American Brands, which is now, their name's been changed to Fortune Brands.
Fortune Brands was a conglomerate and had a very diverse set of businesses. You know, it had the home building business, it had the spirits business, it had the golf business. You know, if you were a guy, it was absolutely the best company in the world to be running. You know, you could play with tools, you could drink, and you could play golf. I mean, he kind of had it all.
We probably built the business in my timetable, and I say we because it was really a collective effort of everybody there, but from about $4.5 billion to close to $9 billion. We grew earnings about 15% a year over a 10-year time horizon.
At the point that he took over Fortune Brands, I believe the stock was in the kind of the $16 range, and when he retired it was around 100 when you accounted for the divestitures and things. And so anytime you get a 6-fold increase over the tenure of a CEO and chairman, that individual has done an incredible job. He is a better listener than virtually any senior executive.
I always thought that I learned from people I work for, people I work with, and people who work for me. And if your ego's right, there's just so much to learn from everybody.
You don't meet an awful lot of finance guys that you'd say have extraordinary people skills. You know, Norm's a friend. He's a dear friend.
I think that one of his great strengths is he can put business down and enjoy himself.
You should work hard and be successful, but at the same time, you don't need to take yourself so seriously.
Norm can certainly laugh at himself because, like all of us, he's far from perfect and does many bonehead things. And we are all the first to point those bonehead moves out. So, and he can step back and laugh and appreciate those. Got a wonderful sense of humor.
I think that Kim has been a great balance in my life.
She doesn't let him get away with anything, and so he's real. He's just a real person.
He talks to all 3 daughters every single day, and his kids and now his granddaughter mean everything to him. They mean absolutely everything to him. He's a wonderful father and a wonderful grandfather.
It's fun to watch Norm just talk about his granddaughter. I mean, he just fumbles over himself.
I see her when we're in town 3 or 4 times a week, and I just love it. I mean, I just can't get enough of it.
Somebody asked him when she was about 4 weeks old if he'd bought her a pony yet. He said, of course not. She hasn't asked me yet. When she asks me, she'll have a pony.
Many, many years ago, Kim gave me for Christmas a picture of my 3 daughters, and there was sort of a quote at the bottom of the picture, and it says, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, what sort of house I lived in, or what kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. You know, I really love that and embraced that, and I believe that made me a better leader, a better family member, a better mentor, and it really impacted our philanthropic endeavors. And so Kim and I have always been engaged in activities that support children. We should never lose sight of the fact that our obligation is to give the best education possible to each and every child so that they have the greatest opportunity for success going forward.